Get ready to uncover the untold story of a queen who ruled with fierce determination and strategic genius. Beyond her legendary beauty, Cleopatra was an absolute force to be reckoned with, expertly governing Egypt's kingdom and expanding its borders at an incredible rate. This trailblazing leader wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty in intense battles. But it's the surprising twist at the Actium battle that would ultimately set the stage for the rise of one of history's most powerful empires, Rome. Buckle up as we dive into the fascinating tale of how Cleopatra's remarkable actions shaped the course of world history and explore what would have been if she hadn't left her indelible mark. Meet Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Egypt's Ptolemaic kingdom, ruling from 51 to 30 BC, a true queen with power and mystery. Born into the legendary Ptolemaic dynasty, she was a direct descendant of Ptolemy Isoter, Alexander the Great's right-hand man. When her brother Ptolemy XV passed away, Cleopatra at just 18 and her 10-year-old sibling Ptolemy XV seized the Egyptian throne in 51 BC. However, their co-rule was short-lived as disagreements between them took a rapid turn for the worse. Imagine being forced out of your home by those you trusted. That's what happened to Cleopatra when Ptolemy's advisors turned against her in 49 BC. Fleeing to Syria was her only option. But this fearless queen wasn't going down without a fight. She gathered an army of skilled mercenaries, and in 48 BC, she marched back into Egypt with a plan to take on her own brother's forces in the civil war at Pelusium, a strategic location right on Egypt's eastern border. Meanwhile, in Alexandria, Ptolemy SE was trying to impress Julius Caesar by welcoming him after Pompey's shocking murder. Cleopatra knew she needed an ally like Caesar too, but there was one problem. Palace guards were everywhere. So, what did she do? Legend has it that Cleopatra sneaked into the royal palace, determined to meet Caesar and make her case for his support. Get ready to dive into one of history's most iconic power couples, Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. Their partnership was more than just politics. They fell head over heels in love, creating a whirlwind romance that would change the course of their empires forever. To secure her grip on Egypt's throne, Caesar appointed Cleopatra's little brother Ptolemy XIV as her co-ruler. Talk about sibling rivalry. Meanwhile, he and Cleopatra got hitched in an Egyptian ceremony. But things weren't so simple back in Rome. The Roman law didn't recognize their union since Caesar was already married. Despite all these obstacles, they welcomed a new addition to their family, son Caesarion, born out of love and politics. This steamy romance sent shockwaves through Rome for several reasons, and we're about to uncover them. Let's get real for a second. The Romans were totally judging Egypt's party vibe as super extra and way too focused on having fun. Meanwhile, Julius Caesar was low-key worried about his own legacy since he didn't have a son to pass the throne to. As Rome's biggest shot, Caesar wanted all the power, and that freaked out the elite Romans, who were used to sharing the spotlight. Now imagine an Egyptian-born kid Caesarion, possibly becoming Caesar's heir and taking over Rome. Talk about a recipe for Roman drama. But you know what? The people weren't exactly rooting for them either. But that wasn't even the main problem they faced. Imagine being a queen, living at large in ancient Rome, but suddenly everyone turns on you after your BFF, Julius Caesar, gets taken out. That's what happened to Cleopatra, who quickly hightailed it out of there to stay safe. She had been chillin' in her own palace near the river Tiber with her mini-me, son Caesarion. But let's be real, she wasn't exactly a Rome local. She was in and out, often jetting back to Egypt. The Roman folks weren't too fond of their royal relatives, and Cleopatra's "I'm the queen, and you'll address me that way" vibe didn't win them over either. To make matters worse, Caesar had gotten her a super fancy gold statue in the temple of Venus Genitrix. Not exactly the best PR move for our queen. Now things get really interesting. When Rome's powerful triumvirate divided up the Roman Republic in 42 BC, Mark Antony got control of the eastern provinces. Think of it like a massive business empire. With a ton on his plate, from wars to managing budgets, something unexpected happened. He was captivated by the Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra, and her Hellenistic style of living, which was all about embracing Greek culture. Meanwhile, Antony had some serious goals in mind: reforming his army, finding new cash flow, and taking revenge on their longtime rivals, the Parthians. But it's clear that he was also hooked on this Greek way of life. Imagine a superstar touring the hottest cultural spots, getting hailed as a god. That's basically what happened when this Roman leader visited Athens, Asia Minor, and Ephesus. He wowed the crowds and earned himself divine titles. In Ephesus, they even crowned him Dionysus the Benefactor, because who doesn't love a good party? But it wasn't all about the parties. His trip was also super strategic. Next stop, Tarsus, where he invited Cleopatra to chat business. She had Egypt's gold, grain, and perfect location up for grabs. No wonder she played hard to get. It seemed like she knew exactly what she wanted, and that meeting with this powerful Roman figure could make or break her political game. both at home in Egypt and in the eyes of Rome. Imagine Cleopatra making a killer entrance in ancient Tarsus, sailing down the Cydnus River on a blinged-out boat, rocking gold sails, purple hues, and silver oars that sparkled like diamonds. As she cruises by, the air is filled with enchanting music and she's chillin' under her luxurious canopy, looking like the Greek goddess Aphrodite herself. A squad of Adonis like young dudes fanning her and sea nymph cuties serving her. It's a total scene. To make it even more unforgettable, they're spraying this intoxicating perfume all over the place so everyone can smell her regal presence. Antony's crew is so blown away that they ditch him to get a closer look at Cleopatra. But little do they know, she had her own plan and invites him to join her instead of the other way around. Imagine a VP bash fit for royalty. That's what was going on at Cleopatra's feast. Think gold glittering everywhere, precious gems as centerpieces, and super plush purple and gold carpets that felt like clouds under your feet. She even rolled out the red carpet by giving Antony these fancy couches as a gift. Talk about swag. The more extravagant displays were just to make sure everyone knew Cleopatra was the queen of this show. Antony couldn't compete with her opulence, so he made it clear that Egypt's got his back and promised to support Cleopatra on her throne. As part of their deal, Antony agreed to help take out Arsinoe, Cleopatra's little sis who was causing trouble from exile. You know, for peace and all. Get ready for some ancient drama. So Cleopatra heads back to Egypt, and not long after Antony joins her, leaving behind his third wife, Fulvia, and their kiddos in Rome. Winter of 4140 BC, he's chilling in Alexandria with Cleo, where they form the wildest drinking club ever, called the Inimitable Livers. Fast forward to 40 BC, after Antony returns to Rome, Cleopatra gives birth to not one but two sets of twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene. Meanwhile, back in Rome, Fulvia is no longer around, and Antony knows he needs to prove his loyalty to Octavian. Fast forward to when Antony needed a financial lifeline for his delayed battle against the powerful Parthians in 37 BC. He traveled back to Egypt, reconnecting with Cleopatra, who was more than happy to provide the support he needed. In exchange, Antony agreed to give Egypt back some major territories it had lost, like Cyprus, Crete, Libya, Jericho, and a big chunk of Syria and Lebanon. This reunion sparked another romance, and they welcomed their youngest son. In 36 BC, after getting trounced in the Parthian War, Antony shockingly ditched his wife Octavia's olive branch and instead chose to reunite with Cleopatra back in Egypt. In a flashy display of power called the Donations of Alexandria back in 34 BC, Antony made a bold move. He declared Caesarion as his boss Julius Caesar's true heir, bypassing his own adopted son Octavian. On top of that, he handed out some serious real estate to each of his kids with Cleopatra. It was pretty obvious, though Antony would marry for politics, he had feelings for Cleopatra and wasn't hiding it. This bold declaration fired up a massive propaganda war between Antony and furious Octavian, who claimed Antony was completely controlled by Cleopatra's strings and planning to ditch Rome for Egypt as his new home base. As things heated up, the Roman Senate stripped Antony of all his titles towards the end of 32 BC, while Octavian took it a step further, declaring war on not just Cleopatra, but Antony too. Imagine the Mediterranean Sea on September 2nd, 31 BC. It's the stage for one of history's most epic showdowns, the Battle of Actium. This wasn't just any fight, it was a massive naval clash between two superpowers, Octavian's forces and the combined might of Antony and Cleopatra. The dynamic duo from Egypt, along with their army of allies, charged into battle against Octavian's fleet. For a while, the combat was neck and neck, but then, in a jaw-dropping move that would change the course of history, Cleopatra made her bold play. Cleopatra gave a shocking order, pull back her ships and head back to Egypt. This might have been a last-ditch effort to save her people, but it was uncharacteristic of this fearless leader who never backs down. Her decision caught Antony off guard, leaving him disappointed and questioning their strategy. He then made the surprising move to join Cleopatra in retreating from battle, abandoning his troops in the process. As a result, the remaining loyal forces surrendered to Octavian's army soon after, followed by Antony's land forces giving up as well. This domino effect severely weakened Antony's power and paved the way for Octavian's grip on Rome to tighten, ultimately setting the stage for Antony's downfall. The Battle of Actium was a game-changer, marking the beginning of Octavian's dominance and sealing the fate of the Roman Republic, paving the way for an empire to rise from its ashes. But what happened next in this epic drama? After losing the battle, Antony and Cleopatra made their move, fleeing back to Alexandria, Egypt, where they regrouped and waited for Octavian to catch up. The stage was set for a final showdown, but things took a surprising turn when false news spread that Cleopatra had already met her maker, leaving Antony reeling, unaware of the truth and what it would mean for his future. Antony was heartbroken after stabbing himself, but just as he thought all hope was lost, a messenger burst in with some earth-shattering news: Cleopatra was still alive. In his final moments, Antony begged to be taken to see her and left her with a desperate plea, urging her to make peace with their arch-nemesis Octavian. When Octavian rolled into Alexandria, Cleopatra tried to negotiate a deal that would save her kingdom and keep her in charge, but Octavian was having none of it. Instead of surrendering, Cleopatra made the ultimate sacrifice, taking control of her own destiny one last time by ending her life. Imagine if Cleopatra had led her army into battle instead of meeting her fate with the legendary asp. Did she make a wrong move, or was it all part of her master plan to go out on her own terms? Share your thoughts. Do you think she should have fought until the end, and could that have changed history? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for joining us today. If you loved learning about topic, be sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we post new videos. Your support helps us create more content just like this, and we can't wait to dive into the next exciting topic together.